Because I don't think so.
Hello. Welcome to Submitted for Your Approval, the community created the card submission show for Collective, the community created card game. I am off my game today. Grief sadly could not be with us. He's taking care of some other stuff. I'm joined by my co-host Empty Folder.
Hello everyone.
And we have two guests for you today because Grief was out. The first one is the Realm admin de facto, or yeah, I guess he's real Realm admin now, for Xandar, Magneter. You want to say hi, Magneter?
Hello there.
And also joining us, another favorite guest of mine, is the Realm admin for Concierta, Wujek.
General Kenobi. I'm sorry, I couldn't, like...
Okay.
So
anyways, we're going to hop straight into it with the accepted submission. So these are cards that got in last week, starting with Fruzzle is a 3-drop neutral 2/3 weird spider from nowhere in particular. With summon, draw a Fruzzle. If there are none, draw 2 cards, then shuffle 3 copies of this into your deck. So the reasons I like this are already pretty obvious. I like this because this is great as a potential, like a one-off in non-native matters. You can also maybe just use this as like a little bit of a recurring blocking engine. There are a couple cool things for this. I know that recently, so we have these things that people are really known for. So I'm really known for non-native matters and to a lesser extent shapeshifters. Zinker for the longest time was like a big guy. He's the big proponent of food. Now we got some new players who I'm very excited to see designs from, who are really into spiders and want to see spiders become a thing, finally. And I don't know if this is a step in the right direction, but I think that's exciting. I think it's funny because Thrifty Fishing's art, if I originally recall in the art sheet, had more eyes and they took them out. And then this wasn't a spider originally, and then they made it back into a spider. So that was kind of a story there. Don't know how that worked out, but whatever. Empty Folder, what do you think of this?
Yeah, it's interesting. I think like normally what you're going to be running this for is you just run like 1 copy of this, and it's a 3-mana 2/3 with summon, draw 2 cards, which is pretty good. Of course, you are going to have to pay for that later because you're shuffling 3 copies of this in your deck. And it's only really helpful in extremely grindy games where you can get away with paying 3-mana 3/2s over and over again, which isn't that often.
Yeah, and that's why I say non-native, is because if you're running this as a one-off, and I don't think you run 3 copies of this. I think you run 1-off in non-native, draw the first one, shuffle in 3 copies, and then you can potentially get some buff copies later on. Beyond that, I don't really know if it has a home.
I mean,
Wujek,
I guess right now, spiders.
You think spiders would run this for the draw, I'm guessing?
Just because it has the tribal tag, there's not that many
tribal
spiders
tag and it's neutral and it's draw. Or Magneter, what do you think of this?
Well, I thought previously this would be rather strong, honestly. Now think of it, maybe the drawback of getting the free Fruzzle in deck is an actual decent enough drawback. But I actually really I'm not sure if it is, honestly. And you wouldn't put this in an aggro deck, I guess. But in anything slower than that, I think it would be not really that big of a deal to actually include it. Because I'd imagine in even mid-range you'd probably be able to play 2 copies of it in a turn. Once you actually draw the other copy. I also don't get why it's a spider.
It was just added for synergies because it was kind of weird having this be.
I know, but like it doesn't really have synergy with spiders.
Well, yeah, but if you look at what the new guys have been doing with spiders, it's not what old spiders were.
I mean, sort of.
They're doing more of a straightforward, like a lord-based approach.
I suppose you, with the draw a Fruzzle effect, you can get multiple blockers.
Well, yeah, and it does synergize in that fashion as well. Wujek, what do you think?
Fruzzle is a bit weird. I feel like just the downside of getting essentially 3 dead draws is pretty fucking like
It's
you never
two
want to
dead
play.
It's 2 to maybe 3 dead draws. Because
Like,
you got to bear in mind the time you draw the second one, it'll draw the other one for you if you play it. So you can actually mitigate that downside.
I mean, true. But I'm gonna be honest, I don't think you ever want to actually play this to draw Fruzzle. That's so low tempo.
Mm.
Just overall, like if it just had a better body, maybe.
Yeah.
But like just drawing a Fruzzle with this is so atrociously bad.
I
Unless
think
you like,
we're all in agreement at least that you don't run more than one.
no, yeah, I absolutely only run 1 copy in
Yeah.
your deck.
You could
I mean,
probably
it's
run it
cute.
this.
You could call it a cute anti-mill card.
Yeah.
I think it's-
And you're up 1 card in your deck because you just drew 2.
Yeah, no, not even. Sorry, not even. I mean, this would be really cool if you had like cards that are like, I don't know, choose a card in your deck, give all copies of it +1/+1 or -1 cost. Something
Yeah.
like that, something that affects all copies
Or
of the
just
card in
any
your
other
deck.
non-native synergy. If we
This
had
would
a
then become
non-native
really
cost
cool.
reduction, would also do it.
Yeah, that's true. So like with
could work.
synergy, I feel like this can be very good. I feel like there's also potential for like right now. I'm personally not seeing it, but I'm kind of out of touch with collective, so hey.
Yeah.
You
We're
could
all
play-
getting back
You could
into
put
it.
it in a food deck maybe. First to get the draw 2, which is pretty decent for a food deck. Then to maybe
3
get.
is too pricey, I think, for food.
Yeah,
I
no,
mean,
the food does
You
not
get
run
you
this.
get guaranteed units to actually.
They
use
need
the
to be
feed on.
cheaper.
Yeah, food
Maybe.
usually like pops off with 0 to 1 cost units because the rest of their mana goes into like playing
Yeah.
foods.
Anyways, Protector of the Small is a 7-drop Spirit 4/8 giant spider from Teodos with Horde. Create a Webewal spider for each mana hoarded. And other ally units with less HP than this have Rage, merge to Protector of the Small, then it duels the source. So all your little things die, and this is really cool. It does cost a lot, but it gives you this big blanket of, oh, every time you kill my stuff, it just makes this thing like a little bit stronger and more angry. Because rage still triggers if the thing dies. It'll go back to the graveyard when it unmerges, but still.
It won't. It won't. It will go back to play.
They changed the way merge works
I
to
am pretty
account
sure
for Frank.
I am pretty sure they changed the way merge works to actually specifically return to play always.
No, they did the other thing for Doc Frank.
I am almost sure that if you use idle contract on a summon merge unit, then it will still return to play, even though it's thing that triggered from discard of your Sophus or whatever.
It will, yes.
I'm almost sure of that.
Yes, it will.
Okay, I believe that's how the interaction should work. I just heard it was recently changed, so I guess I misheard. Magneter, what do you think of this?
Well, on this, first thing that comes to mind is how do I use this for an OTK? I could use it as an alternative to Massive Many Men for my incredible Bonglaive Circuit Champion combo. The second thing is, this feels rather, I don't know, because it's a unit which you absolutely need to destroy. Pretty much always, really.
Especially if it returns to play. Because then it's basically like things can't die until this does, so it has to be the biggest destruction target.
I mean, you can still use removal on the smaller things, I guess.
Yeah.
I think a lot of removal, well, isn't actually hard removal, but more so for damage right now.
I think it's weird because he is a good insurance policy, but he doesn't himself have a good like ward thingy. So I would have to. This one's kind of hard to evaluate. Wujek, what do you think of this?
Yeah, so about this, let's just count the amount of cards that actually kill this shit. all three of this summon retriggering cards in Spirit, like that entire removal removal combo suit, that just destroys this. Meltdown, Plasma Invocation, any bounce makes you cry. Crystal Combustion makes you cry a lot. Wilting Memories makes you. Oh my board. Oh no. Yeah, no, I've seen this card at Subreddit. I feel like it's just too slow. And
Mhm.
it just gets popped. This is collective. You play a 7-mana card with no instant effect, boop, it's gone. Welcome to collective. Sorry. Like, for this to be good, you have to be pretty well ahead on board and drop this on turn 7 on initiative. That's
Mhm.
the only circumstance on which this is actually good. And then they play Wilting Memories and you cry anyways. So I don't know. I don't see it.
I don't think Wilting Memories played too much overall.
Well, this is definitely a card that you would play Wilting Memories against. Like,
Yeah,
as a removal to counter the meta.
Well, yeah, but
Yeah, I
Wilting,
think it's a bit too much of a tempo drain, but it's also swingy in the sense that if it ever sticks, you could be in for a really rough time. Empty, what do you think?
Oh, if this sticks, you win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This sticks, you win.
Well, so I actually really like this card specifically because it really doesn't follow the conventions of a lot of the late cost cards, especially the finishers we have right now. And that, yeah, this does die to one removal spell and it doesn't win the board on its own. Like, you need to have something in play in order for this to be effective. You can't just drop this and be happy with it. Because then you're waiting like 2 full turns to even get the horde off. But at the same time, like in certain matchups, it's extremely effective. It prevents your opponent from playing damage-based board clears. Like, yes, they can still play Wilting Memories, but like it's not gonna be perfect against everything. I just really like this direction for finishers to like take a already established board and make it extremely resilient against these small pings that usually finish off soft like that.
Yeah. So I think this could be fun to play around with. And if we ever got like, I mean, you get in a couple like a cheap war duelist unit would do so much to kind of help this along if people are interested in designing such a card. Flavor wise, this thing's beautiful. The art and the flavor text just work so well together. Practical Experience is a 3-drop mind gimmick from Chromosome. We actually talked about this last week, so I'll keep it kind of brief. Turn your EXP from this level into EXP wisps in play. Those have Shapeshift, banish this in the graveyard, and Entomb gain 1 EXP. I think Magneter, you picked this. We talked about it last week. Do you have anything to add?
I probably should have checked if you have talked about it last week.
Helps if you watch the show, man.
Well,
it's fine.
It's fine.
Let me just say that I picked the card because in the past I also tried to do some things with paying EXP for effects. That was one of the ideas for Crown at one point, out of maybe 5. I really wish the card was Spirit.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because there's a couple heroes that can leverage it really well, and I think those heroes are maybe in mind.
Yeah, but I wish it was
the things that actually has the EXP is maybe in mind, and the things that actually need it are maybe in other affinities.
I think you could use this effectively in Spirit with Hiran. That I will continue.
Is that a thing now? Is that still a meme, Wujek? Can you confirm? That was a meme when we left, but we weren't on hiatus.
Well, I'll tell you what. I am often able to get with my Hiran, that Dihat, whatever deck. I can often get Landworm by turn 8.
Oh, turn 8. Your deck is gone by turn 6. That's kind of a problem, dog.
No, not really.
Nah,
the deck actually the deck actually does pretty well against Mill, to be honest.
I'm joking.
Uh,
Wujek, what do you think?
Uh, yeah. So here's the thing about this card, right? The effect is strong, but I feel like the reason why I would just kind of flop is because it's really clunky.
Mm-hmm.
With how our hero EXP works, like ideally this you want to make like 4 to 5 wisps.
Mm-hmm.
5 wisps like you're making a profit. Like 4 is like you're going even in stats, right?
Yeah.
So here's the thing, for that you need to be on your 5th EXP of a level. First level is 4 EXP, so you're not playing this on level 1. Then on level 2 you need to play it on the like 3 last EXP ticks. Specific.
Yeah, I feel like you're Ashgurdy. If you're running this, you're running this Ashgurdy Doomwalkers. There's probably other answers, but
Yeah, that's the thing. It's not that simple actually.
in spirit, you can with the Huron you can
If you're
probably get around
Ashgurdy,
4 XP per
you
turn.
can't. Okay, so if you're Ashgurdy, even if you're high raw EXP of getting a proc on turn 2, you don't need to get a proc on turn 3 on the board, which I don't think is possible, like during the same turn to play this on turn 3. And if you get a, then you have to not, like, then you have to actively not get a proc on turn 3 if you actually want to play it on
Mhm.
4 and get the EXP. If you get a proc on 3, then you get, how much XP on 4? You go up to 3, you have 4 EXP on 4, I think. And then you have a proc, you go to 5. No, wait, by turn 4 you should be level 3 actually.
anyways, ignoring the math, let's go on.
Yeah,
I mean,
I'm
I
pretty
don't
sure
think
this
you're
is just
curving
clunky.
into this anyway.
I'm just really thinking of like on what turn you can play this and actually get value out of it. Is the question which I took answer in my head right now.
Mhm.
And I don't think there is one actually.
Well,
I
you
don't, I
still
don't
can
think it's
splash it
easy to have
technically.
one. And I don't think you run this in spirit. I don't think you run this in spirit for
I mean,
4 mana.
you
That's
could
just...
maybe try it in oozes to actually gain more XP than you put into this because of the entomb with something like Mortal Mockery ooze.
The issue
Yeah.
is the wisps banish as soon as they hit the graveyard. So if you're trying to
Ah.
grave rave, it won't work.
Well, yeah, you
can't
can't grave it,
grave
but
this.
you can still copy the entomb.
It'll still
But that's
push all
one
the
XP.
entombs onto a
Mockery.
Mortar Mockery.
Or something. Or like the
And utilize more
ooze
than
that
mockery.
So like a real meme.
copies entrance that on entrance copies an entomb. There is also an ooze like that.
I mean, at that point, to me, it feels like you're taking an already clunky deck because oozes are a very clunky deck,
Mhm.
and you're making it even more clunky. And also, by the way, oozes and the XP game, that would require a very weird build of oozes, my dude.
Yeah.
Actually, get a lot
I
of
mean,
XP wisps.
I didn't. The bigger problem, if anything, would be what you actually use the EXP for, because usually oozes I think
Yeah.
are played in Hawkins.
Yeah, I mean, fucking
And
Hawkins level 4 is garbage.
yeah,
Oozes.
probably.
I'm
anything,
gonna
you-
run this in non-native Vertic. Monkeys. There's gotta be
Okay,
monkeys,
actually,
man.
Okay, theoretically speaking, there is a meme. There's a meme for this card. It allows you to be neutral for 1 more turn in KM.
Yeah.
Like 3 more turns even if they don't die. Incredible.
Hmm.
But they just have to not die. But let's ignore that part, okay? They don't die. You're fine. You're
Yeah.
neutral.
Moving
Don't-
on, Webewal Entrepreneur is a 2-drop spirit 2/2 spider from Theodos with ambush and summon. If you control another spider, draw a card. I did that since we talked about it last week, MP. I hope you don't mind. So Wujek, why did you pick this card? It's getting an art update, which is good because the art is cute, but it kind of, not really.
I kind of picked this card more to like represent all of the spider sport that we got today. Or more like 2 days ago.
Yeah.
Because it's actually a really goddamn good spider. Like, wow, we're actually getting good spider cards. This and Itsy Bitsy Spider I think both show like a lot of potential. If we just keep this up, I think a aggro to mid-range archetype of spiders can show up, especially since they have like the extremely powerful lord that is athletic arachnid.
Hmm.
Like this is more as, like I picked this more as like an encouragement to like keep going with this because you have a pretty solid core already. It just needs cards.
Yeah. I too am interested to see where they go with this. And I've even been throwing a little bit of I've been throwing some old spider designs I had or ideas just kind of at the wall to see if I can make anything stick. But I need to figure out what the deck actually needs right now. And you're just saying just cards would do it?
I mean,
Things that have the tribe and things that care about spiders?
I mean, let's be honest. Right now, spiders. Right now, acting like they ever did. Spiders don't have an overarching game plan other than play spiders.
Empty, you're our spider enthusiast. What do you think?
Yeah, I want to try the spider quest again. Maybe now if we can finally get in. But yeah, that's like the biggest problem that spiders have always had is they lacked a real like way to close out the game, and they had an identity which was blocking. The issue that blocking doesn't win games, attacking does. So they just sort of stalled out most of the time. And if this new like wave of spiders can fix that problem, I would be all for it. And if the spider quest gets in, I'll be very happy. But you know, if that doesn't happen, as long as spiders are good.
Just make the unexhausted ones weave at the end of the turn, and I think it does it. Magneto, what do you think?
Well, it's a spider. I'm not sure what to say about him. I don't really have particularly strong feelings in one way or the other about the card. I feel like it exists. It reminds me of Duobot a bit.
Yeah, I think it's a little better than Duobot in a couple respects, especially for the deck. But
well, yeah, maybe for the deck, but overall Duobot normally can draw you more cards.
Well, but Duobot caring about other Duobots is a bit too restrictive. I think this actually points out why Duobot's not so great. And it could have been a simple fix like this.
I can manage to trigger Duobot quite often, to be honest.
No,
I guess it depends on deck. I'm usually
Yeah.
thinking of like Summon Bullock, which also draws a lot of cards.
Yeah.
So he can also draw the Duobot.
Possible, but just the one extra stat point really helps with consistency.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Well, and ambush. This is really nice to have as an emergency blocker.
Yeah. I'm gonna move on. I don't think we have too much to add. So these are the active submissions that are on the Reddit this week to go vote on. Starting with Coconut Drinks is a 1-drop mind nut food from Osagarth with draw a card and feed ready to fed unit. This is from King
What?
Kuba, who's new, and I think he's also on the council. What is the tribe nut doing here? First of all, by the way, and I looked into this, depending on how you define nut, and I looked into this, coconuts are not themselves nuts. Though you could twist the definition a little bit and make it work. I don't see what this is doing here, and it almost distracted me from the rest of the card. And then I read the rest of the card, and I was like, I see why this is at 0 now.
Yep.
See, this is like the most iconic example of what a dangerously overpowered food card is. And so I thought we should talk about that since we got all these new players coming in. Empty, what do you think of this?
Yeah, don't do this. This is a bad idea. Like one of the only weaknesses like food had when it was an actual deck is that you gave your opponent a turn to clear the board. With this, if food becomes viable, you will just win out of nowhere randomly by just creating insane boards and then readying them all so you can immediately overwhelm your opponent.
Yeah.
Magneter?
It reminds me of a card I've made very early on when I joined as well. I've made a card which had like feed, give the fed unit agile.
Yeah,
think.
and I think that's the other thing is like people who make cards end up making this card on accident. And
Yeah,
that's why I
think
wanted to talk about it. That's the
I think it's-
interesting thing.
I think it's interesting how sort of similar it was. I honestly doubt it was made with food in mind. I'm not sure what it was made in mind with. I remember when I was making my version of the Agile on feed, it was with fish in mind mainly. Also because fish were in mind. Honestly, I'm not sure why this is in mind, quite frankly, because most of like mind aggro right now at least relies a lot of on agile units anyway. So I'm not exactly sure what was actually intended to be the deck for this. But yeah, it's sort of similar to in Legacy food card, which has feed ready units with less than 5 cost. And yeah, the thing that it ended up with in Legacy is that you would, if you were to win, you would always win just because you played food card and readied all your units while also having all them buffed in one single turn, giving your opponent no time to react. That was the only way to win, really.
Mm.
So this is probably just the same thing. And it also draws a card when you play it, so.
Wujek, what do you think of this?
It's food court. What else is there to say? This is so you all know how there's this quirky deck right now that's like on turn 4 just casually shits out like 3 9/9s. That's very cool, right? How about we make them all agile as well while we're at it? That's very based. Turn 4 OTK, let's go. In standard. I mean, no, because you would need 1 more mana. A coin does it. Just play Money Machine on 2, it's fine.
Yeah.
Didn't
But,
the
yeah.
snake get changed so that it can't go below 1?
I don't think it did. Not yet, I don't think it did.
So yeah, don't make
But
this
yeah.
card, guys. Everyone makes the
Also,
same mistake.
fun fact actually, Magneter. In Legacy Food, this is the strongest in mind because it actually allows Legacy Food to use its mind discount, which it usually
Yeah.
doesn't.
Yeah.
So you can play it for free and it refills a cart. So it's
Yeah,
like
usually-
food cart but better.
Usually what Legacy
Incredible.
Food does is it like combos off on turn 4 with food card and other shenanigans, but like
Yeah.
it never uses its mind discount. With this, it does.
Yeah. I'm gonna
I
move
played-
on.
And it
I played Legacy
cantrips!
Food
It
in Bullock.
cantrips!
I'm gonna move on. Tetra is a 4-drop neutral 4/4 math fish horror from Arrhythmia. Cards that cost 4, have a base cost of 4, have 4 attack or 4 HP, cannot be played. Now, the cards I picked, by the way, every card I picked in my selection of the picks has 0 votes on the sub, and I wanted to talk about why. They were all very interesting. Like the last one, it's very interesting how people keep making the same card. So I guess Toast and Zinker are back. The guys are back. I like seeing them. And they're using all these old designs. And they're trying to make a math world. And it makes me sad because I didn't think of it first. Because I'm a math guy. I like the ideas that stuff like miscount and stuff like this are maybe sort of like putting out there, but the execution just feels off. And so I was wondering if there was really a way to remedy that. Magneto, what do you think of this card?
I don't see what the point of it is.
Yeah.
Like, actually, no. Honestly, if you have initiative on turn 4, then against some decks at least you stop your opponent from playing what they would. Because for example, something like Tailings you usually play on curve. So you just stop that.
Mhm.
Something interesting which you could maybe use this with is there's a card which lets you view your opponent's hand, like reveals your opponent's hand. So you can reveal your opponent's hand and then only play this once you know that they're about to, or they would be about to play something which this can stop. But it feels very weird. Like it feels pretty random, honestly.
Yeah. Well,
The-
I mean,
the-
it's probably a top-down design built around the flavor, if I were to guess. But...
Yeah, possibly, but it just the numbers are pretty random. It doesn't really matter that they're 4. The- It's very weird. Honestly, if it was like something like 1 instead of 4, then maybe it could be better because it would maybe stop things like Dune Walkers. Overall, a lot of our units have low ATK, high HP, so maybe some 180k units overall.
Yeah.
Or stop some aggro, which plays a lot of 1 cost, I guess.
Actually, I think this shuts down a couple important Dune Walkers. Well, maybe in
Yeah.
Legacy. But
Well, no, it's I don't know. Also, it's
Wujek,
weird that it
Magneter's
checks-
stuttering. We're just gonna let you start talking now.
Arrhythmia like a heart condition?
It's a hard condition. It's spelled differently, but they went with arithmetic and arrhythmia and combined them to arrhythmia.
Yeah, that's name feels weird, but whatever. This is a bad card that is bad and is for bad people. Don't play it if it gets in. It's the most oddly specific hate bear I have ever seen on the subreddit. The only use that this card has is playing it on turn 4, cocking your opponent out of a turn 4 on curve play. If you have initiative. That's it.
Yeah,
I have nothing else to say. This is just a bad card.
I think there would have been like designs up this alley that can fix this. I know MTG did something like with evens not being able to be played, or your opponent can't play even cost cards. And then I guess we have miscount, which is up that alley. I don't
One
really
way
know what
to
they were
kind of
going
fix
for.
this is by making it not an undercurve unit.
That's another thing, is that it's under curve.
Like this effect is so oddly specific that this legitimately could be a vanilla. I know it's not because of the flavor, but bounce wise it's
Well, they could have
so
slapped flying
atrocious
on it,
because of
right?
that.
I don't know.
I guess.
MT, what do you think of this?
Yeah, I think it's just too random with what it hits. Like there's not really a way to plan around using this card. If it was part of like some sort of archetype, where you could like buff the cards in your opponent's hand or like decrease their stats, and then you get everything to 4 so they can't play them, like that would be really cool.
Yeah.
But like that doesn't really exist at all. And as is, it's like it's just going to be completely random if what your opponent is playing has 4 numbers. It's the number
I think
4.
the flavor is just so good, but I think the like actual use case just wasn't thought out.
Yeah, I think the way to like fix this card would be to let you choose the number somehow.
It would
Or
work.
cards that share a base cost attacker HP with this cannot be played.
Honestly,
You
it
could
would
tweak
work.
the card, and that would tweak the.
That would be cool.
It would work way better at if it was the number 3, because there is a card which has, well, now it's updated to entrance and end of turn, set the cost of all cards to at least 3.
Yeah.
So you could then also make this make units which cost 2 or less unplayable, or cards, I guess, which at this point is pretty useful against, I guess, aggro.
Yeah, 3 would have been a better number. 1 would have been a better number. 4 is just so random in what it hits.
Also, if 3 was the number picked, then you wouldn't have to have. I'm sorry, but just cards that cost 4 have a base cost. So that grunk so bad for my Polish mind. Like, I know, Lefani. Hey, look, the number 4 is 4 times in the card's text. He who. But like, no, that grunk's so bad. Please, just get rid of the base cost part. God.
You could actually have 4 tribes. There are a couple important targets that have.
Yeah,
4
it doesn't even have 4 tribes. But it doesn't even mention 4 times in the flavor text. Just bad flavor. Make this free. Everything's fixed.
Yeah.
No, literally, actually, everything is fixed.
Okay, the Doombringer Mimi is a 1-drop strength 3/2 cap from nowhere in particular with duelist and summon. Your opponent may play a unit, destroy it. This is really interesting and really quirky because if your opponent has really high value summon, you don't want to drop this on 1. But in certain matchups, I think this is actually maybe good. I guess it's just too matchup dependent and too risky. Why I liked this is the style and the flavor. It reminds me of the jokes that were going around when Doom released at the same time as Animal Crossing, where they had Isabella in the full Doom kit. I imagine that's probably what inspired this card or something similar. I want to see this art on a card in the game, and I think GoChris did a really, really great job with it. I just think the effect is so weird and risky and situational, and I think that's what's steering people away from it. But I wanted to get a confirmation. Wujek, what do you think of this?
GoChris is a designer that often makes cards that I like one or more things about them, but then they're just horrible in so many other ways. And this is one of those cards because I absolutely love the art and the flavor, but holy crap, what is this card mechanically? I don't think there is a world where a card can range in power level from lose the game to 1 mana free to duelist, the opponent discards a card.
Well, they don't have to play it.
Yeah, they don't have to play the unit.
Yeah.
Sorry, okay. 1 mana
It
free
doesn't
to
make them
duelist.
just.
That's
It's
still a
not
2-drop.
much better.
Like that's just uh
Yeah, it's just so swingy and risky.
this is so swingy. This like either is a massive tempo swing that could like if you drop this on turn 1 and they have nothing, you probably just win any tempo game. Just because it's such a massive tempo, so you kill their 2-drop, you drop your 2-drop, and then from there on you just snowball because collective is a snowbally ass game. Or you just lose the game on that spot because you just congrats, you fetched out their low kill. Good job. Perfect.
Yeah. MT, what do you think of this?
I can just completely agree with Wujek. This is just way too swingy. Like I'm not sure if you even can run it because there's so many matchups where this instantly loses you the game when you play it.
Yeah.
But in the matchups that doesn't, it's going to just feel horrible for your opponent.
Yo, hey, look at this cool card. For 1 mana, my opponent gets to play Ash of the First Ward. Very cool. Turn 1
And
Ash,
win the
let's
game.
go.
Win the
Let's go,
game
baby.
before they get
What
to
else?
act.
Reverse OTK.
Okay, I see the meme. Oh, I see the meme. Okay, the meme is you play this and then you mischief maker it and then you invoke enchant because for some reason invoking enchant can still target enemy units. It has never been fixed. It still
Can
does
it?
that. Yes, it always did. And it was just never fixed because no one could be fucked to fix it because there's like no reason to ever use it on enemy units.
Doesn't it actually? I may be wrong, but I think at one point I used it on an enemy unit and I could target it, but it didn't actually trigger the summon.
It triggers
I
the
might
summon
be
for the
wrong.
opponent.
Yes,
Yes,
I'm
it doesn't
misremem-
trigger it
maybe-
for you, it triggers it for
yeah.
the opponent.
maybe I'm
Which is why, yes, this,
misremembering.
congrats. If you play this in a mind deck for like the low price of 7 mana and a free card combo, you could play Ash.
Incredible.
Balling. Absolutely
Magneto, do
love
you
the
have any
card.
thoughts on this, or should we move on?
Well, yeah. I mean, I have to repeat the same things really, and yeah, a lot of the time it would probably just lose you the game on the spot because it's not just summon units, it's also entomb units, it's also entrance units, and it's also units with ward because it won't destroy the units with ward.
Yeah. Or entomb. High value entombs too.
Yeah, that too. So, for example, against Daylings, you probably lose on the spot because they either get Jikus, even just for the entomb units, it's already a 4 cost on turn 1.
Bro, Jikus is like the tamest thing this can fetch probably.
I mean, yeah, but
you
but
just,
still,
just get a 4-drop, it's
I mean,
fine.
yeah, but Daylings are a popular deck, and
I mean,
mostly
yeah.
is why I'm mentioning it. Also, Prophet, because the Prophet won't be destroyed because he has ward. But yeah, in the case where it actually does work and you don't lose the game instantly, then it would be probably just overpowered, really.
Yeah. Okay. Let's move on, shall we? Familiarize, another great Go Chris card, is a 0-drop mind action from nowhere in particular with replace the next action played this turn with a familiar with attack and HP equal to that action's cost. Familiar is a spell cat. And it's got 1 cost, which I guess is actually pretty relevant. So you have a potential to get a 1 cost unit with really, really high attack and HP, perhaps, or you could possibly counter your opponent's card if they were looking to play an action and you're in the right spot in initiative. There's a lot of weird, interesting uses for this card. MT, what do you think of it?
I think it's a really cool idea, but that the current iteration is just very niche and too weak. It's very easy for decks that are playing a lot of actions to just get around this by playing like a 1 cost thing. And like you're giving them a flyer too. And you're missing out on CA. I think the easiest fix to this card is to like put this effect as the summon on a unit so that you can actually get some stats along with it, and it's not so punishing if it doesn't work out well for you.
Yeah, and I mean, they even got the other lady in the art, so you could perhaps do this. It would have to stay cheap, I think, for it to really matter. I think there's something to be said maybe about leveraging the effect for yourself.
Yeah, but the thing is, you're playing this, and then you're passing the initiative over to your opponent and saying, hey, disrupt what I'm doing. Like, they just get to see that you've done this. There's not really... If it had fast, I guess, that would be another thing.
Yeah, because then fast, you could possibly play a unit if you wanted to counter their thing, or you could play an action if you wanted to use it for yourself. So yeah, 2 words, fast
but then,
and summon.
But like, okay, let's say it does have fast. You're playing this for yourself. You're going -1 in card advantage to create a flyer equal to the action. That's not like over curve or anything. It's
but you could choose, right? You have the option. You could play something else to push the control option, or you can. It gives you the choice.
Yeah.
So yeah, fast and summon I think would do it, and it being a creature with some sort of body. Magneto, what do you think?
Yeah, I don't really think I have much to add, honestly. It probably wouldn't really... I guess it could maybe be used as counter against something like meal, because it doesn't really use a lot of cheap actions mostly. But even its expensive actions are... or semi-expensive actions are like free cost. Which, I mean, I guess they're technically losing 3 mana, but I mean, yeah, they're getting a flyer.
Yeah, and I guess the other problem I think I think the reason why the whole unit suggestion will never stick is because it seems to be a card that was made for the joke, and the joke doesn't work if it's no longer the name of an action. I don't know. Wujek, what do you think of this?
1. Play this to prevent a board wipe. Step 2. The opponent plays Vicious Stare into Absolute Storm. They still wipe your board. Step 3. You cry.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or they play a coin. I mean, that also works. Congrats, you just spent a card, discard.
Yeah, the more I think about it, the more this has just like these bad matchups. You have to have use this on your own stuff or your opponent's stuff, so you avoid the bad matchups.
You know what?
It doesn't
like
have fast, so
about
you
this
can't.
Card actually?
What?
It's exactly 2 words on this card that like make this like from a bad tech card to a horrendous tech card. This turn.
Yeah.
This isn't even a floating effect. They could just play a unit, pass the turn, go combat. Next turn, it rips. Incredible. You just spent a card to do literally nothing.
That would also do it. Yeah,
also, this does not need. Also, this does not need fast. You never want to use this on like your own cards.
I'm saying you want the option to. Because having the option
not
fixes the
even.
bad matchup problem.
No, that's like if you had like I don't know a 5-mana card that allowed you to discard a card from your opponent's hand, and you said, well, if my opponent has no hand, then maybe I should be able to discard my own cards. That's like this level of bad.
Hey, well, maybe there's some situation where you really need a unit. Like you'll spend anything.
I will spend the 2 cards to get a butterfly card.
Or like,
I will
ooh,
get
right?
that card, damn it.
If you're running a deck that deliberately runs very board light, being able to turn an action into a unit isn't a bad idea. In a pinch.
Oh yeah, okay, imagine this. You're in the action spam mirror, and your cards have no targets, you're damaging spells, because the opponent never plays units. So you can use this to turn them into units. Oh wait, except you can't cast them because your opponent doesn't have any units in the first place.
And oh wait, you just gave your opponent a target for their removal.
Oh no, my plan is ruined.
Sploosh your familiar.
Yeah.
What a card.
Anyways, let's move on. Cannon Crawler is a 4-drop Spirit 2/5 Spider Pirate from Osagarth. With Ambush, Agile, Flying, and Summon, you may deal 3 damage to an enemy. If you do, this takes 3 damage. I don't really see people not taking the damage option on this one. Especially because this has Flying, this is evasive. And having the option just makes it so much better. I don't know. Magneter, what do you think of this card?
Why does it have flying? Actually,
It's being shot out of a cannon.
Yeah,
ah,
it's flavor.
alright, fair enough.
Also, the fourth wall breaking flavor text is pretty bad. No, I don't know. Feel how you feel about that. I don't like that part of the card, I'll be honest. I like it. I like the art. I like the style. I miss Dia. I'm so glad to see Dia back. I think this is a really cute card, and I'd be excited to see what people do with it. It's a little quirky, just from a perspective, but I don't think it's bad. Wujek, what do you think of this?
It's solid. The flavor text makes me mold, but it's like it's not even the worst thing this week, so whatever.
Yeah.
There are things on the subreddit that make me mold more. One card that makes you mold. We are not covering, thank God. I'll be throwing a temper tantrum here. Anyways. Yeah, this is good. This is just good stuff spider that goes into good stuff spiders. Cool. Yeah, it works.
Yeah.
Also very cool with Itsy Bitsy Spider, because this is one of those units that actually benefits from getting a hand buff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just good. It's just a cute card.
Yeah. MT, you have any thoughts on it?
Yeah, I really like this as a card for spiders, since it's still a very defensive unit with like a base stat line of 2/5. But if, of course, they can also just go face. Like you can deal the 3 damage to your opponent and then swing in for 2 with agile plus whatever buffs you have on your board, which I think is great. So it's a very versatile card, which I like.
Oh, and it says enemy, so you could use this for reach.
Yeah.
Do 3 and then 2 to your opponent.
Yeah.
That is cool. I really like this design. I hope it does well. Sweet Bod is a 1-drop spirit 1/4 undead human sweet from Zukros with charm, and when this damages a unit, heal that unit to full HP. This is still okay. This is still MT's picks. Got to make sure Magneter's not plugging himself. This is quirky. I'd be interested to see what people would do with this. It seems like it would just backfire on you a lot of the time. Magneter, I guess you can go into like explaining what your process was with this card. I know it's a song reference.
Yeah, yes, I made the card from the flavor because Imze and Tazar were working on a card, and they said that human sweet, something sounds like some sort of cannibal thing. And it reminded me of this song, and I needed to make it into a card. I don't know how many people actually get what the flavor of it is.
It's
Or
Sweet
the
Bob by
referencing.
Lemon Demon. There, we've said it. Now move on.
Well, yeah, but I don't know how many people actually know the reference.
Well, yeah, I explained the
in terms of
reference. Now move on.
the effect, Zucrose was, well, at least originally intending to do healing stuff in spirit. And I thought it was actually a pretty interesting idea, maybe approached in not the right way, I think, because it mostly starts with synergy for healing, even though we have almost no healing. So I've made something which actually heals. In terms of what you would actually use this in, I'd want it to be used in rage. Something.
If I have a unit that's like
alongside of rage.
if you got mine Gambu or just whatever big unit, like, okay, great, I have a 10-2 unit. You can't play this because the second you play it, I have a 10-10 or I get to heal my unit back to full or whatever. Like, I don't see the use case for this.
I mean, you aim to play it early.
But if it's early, then none of my units are damaged, Magnator.
But I can use it to proc my rage on it and still I have the rage.
But your
unit to actually
opponent
take
gets
damage.
to go first.
Well, yeah, but that actually means that my opponent might not have damage units either.
I
I
mean,
only
it's
need,
kind of
like-
moot point since this is spirit and rage is strength,
Yeah.
and you
There are-
cannot
There is a thing.
off
there is
affinity this.
one card, I guess. There is one rage card in spirit, I think, maybe two.
The broccoli man.
No, all right. There are two cards. There is the ooze and there is the broccoli knight. And that's it. I
One that
think.
gains you HP.
Yeah.
Yeah, this
Doesn't
seems
that
like
like get really big too? So just kill him.
well, it's gonna die fast anyway
Maybe.
because I can use this to
This
heal
is
my
gonna
own
last.
units
Oh,
and
by the
proc
way,
my
that-
own rage triggers.
That oozes healing scales with its attack.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I made the cards for the flavor.
Yeah, Wujek, what do you think of this?
this wasn't in spirit. It's as simple as that. Just make this a strength card, and it's like a quirky rage enabler that's like maybe a somewhat worse alternative to Scarlet's Tactician. Also, why doesn't this heal itself to full health?
Yeah, if it had regenerate or if it healed itself to full on that damage trigger,
Yeah.
that could have been cool.
Like this at best triggers like 1 or 2 rages, and then you have Scarlet's Tactician over there who just like is slap in every turn.
I
Bam.
wanted to give
Bam.
it regenerate, but that would make it an uncommon.
Oh, the
Yeah,
humanity.
versus making it not a
Anyways.
playable card, one of these alternatives is better than the other. Empty, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with Wujek here. The design here is actually like really, really interesting. And I like the idea of having like this very overstated 1-drop unit with this really unique downside where your opponent has to decide like what units are worth exhausting if they want to get rid of it, since after all it only has 1 attack. And then it's this interesting rage enabler, but all of that only really works if it's in strength.
Wait, no, I know the use case for this.
What?
Fusion Project.
Oh,
That's what
yeah.
the one for. You absolutely run that in Legacy Fusion Project. It's just good stuff
Yeah.
for the cost. That's the meme. That's the meme. We
I'm
found
gonna
the
run
meme,
this,
boys.
and then
You
I'm gonna
aren't
get
giving your
what is
stuff
it,
charm,
a
though.
4/6 that's gonna be Doombringer Mimi with
It's
this.
fine. Listen, we ignore that. You what? You think that people in Legacy run minions? What are you crazy? Deadly? What is that?
Do people in Legacy run Fusion Project though?
Yes.
Technically.
Yeah,
Really?
that deck actually got,
Well-
like placed really high in the first Legacy tourney, if I remember correctly. It's
Huh.
actually solid, like dead ass. It's actually a pretty solid deck. It's
Okay,
not like
I'm
top
gonna
tier, it was, like,
push
tier 2,
onward.
tier 3.
We need to be working at a steady clip here. Glory Chaser is a 1-drop spirit 1/1 Hearing Knight from Xandar with Duelist, and whenever an ally with more HP enters play, this gets +1/+1. For those of you who don't know, in Magic the Gathering, I'm a proud member of the Simic Combine, and we believe in green and blue and +1/+1 counters, and this card has Evolve. It has a modified version of Evolve, but it was a mechanic. It's very, very similar to a mechanic from Magic the Gathering that I really, really, really enjoy. That also feeds really nicely into like the Hearing flavor and all this other stuff. So I actually think this is a really cool card. I like that you can run this really, really easily. Just there are a lot of spirit decks you could just slot this in as long as it has a full filled, fleshed out curve. Is this the next like Shinbone? No, probably not. But I feel
the
like
next Sycomancer though.
It's
It has a
way better
very
than
similar
Shinbone.
play pattern.
well, it's Sycomancer backwards, right? So Sycomancer is good for go wide. This is good for go tall.
You can say that.
And so I don't know. I think this is a cute design. MD, what do you think of this?
Oh, I can't stand this card.
No.
Like-
You hate the Duelist.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you.
because that shouldn't be on a 1-drop. Literally just replace Duelist with a different keyword. I love it. Great card. Cool idea. Don't give this Duelist because it makes it so it's a 1-drop must remove, it's literally the same play pattern as Sycomancer. I don't want to go back to having to draw my Pan Cat on turn 1 to answer my opponent's 1-drop so they don't scale me out of the game.
Well, the other thing, and I think this is the interesting thing about HP particularly, is whenever this thing gets hit as a result of a duel, its HP
Oh, its HP
drops.
is lower, so it can grow again.
So it can grow.
Yay!
So you could actually do stuff with this that you could not do with Evolve and Magic. And so, yeah, I don't know. Okay, you've convinced me, MD. Maybe this is a bit more problematic than I thought. Magneter, this is for your realm. What do you think?
Well, yeah, it's a card for my realm, and it has awesome art, which is pretty much all of Goku's cards have really, really awesome cards, and this is definitely no exception. I like it having Duelist, because I think we need more Duelists, because I want to finally be able to kill the goddamn Prophet. If people want to let me nerf the Prophet, then I want to be able to at least kill the Prophet, and for that I need Duelists. But yeah, now listening to what you said, I guess I can see that it probably is too strong. Honestly, maybe it could just get a cost increase or something.
I think that since this is like Simic Initiate, basically, or this is not Simic Initiate, or whatever the cheap growth, the cheap Evolve one, I don't think this works at a higher cost is the problem.
I mean, even something like 2 cost maybe.
It
I
gets
don't know.
like progressively worse as the cost increases.
Yeah, like it gets really bad really fast.
Yeah, but I think that maybe at 2 cost it could work. And
I
maybe
think just
not
swap
be-
out the keyword for something else.
Wujek,
but
what do you think of this?
I really like the Duelist one.
Yeah, here's the thing about swapping out the keyword for something else, right? How hard is it for you to play a 2 health unit on turn 2? It's really not, right? Like you're probably doing it anyways, and then you just
Yeah.
get an overcurve 1-drop. This is just a busted 1-drop. This is like follows that pattern of Goku making cards that I like a lot of things about, but then I look at them and there's something that ruins it for me, and that's yeah, this is just hilariously overpowered. Yeah, this just needs to go up because there's no other way about it, like to go around it. This
Yeah,
cannot be on a 1-drop. This is always busted on a 1-drop, even if it doesn't have a Duelist. This is a 1-mana 2/2 that scales from then on. Which
It is like extremely vulnerable.
maybe without
when you drop
Duelist.
it though.
Like maybe without Duelist, this is fine.
Like think about like Vicious Stare and Plasma Sploosh, like how easy it is to remove.
Oh
this.
yes, it is. It is easy to remove. I absolutely agree with that. The thing is that if you don't,
yeah,
this is like a 1-mana
it gets
5/5.
too out of control too fast.
Yeah.
What's it sitting at?
16, I believe, which is a
Yeah, so
problem.
it's basically getting in, which I'm not that happy about.
Let's
This
gear up
is
the
like-
nerf train, folks.
Yeah, this is
Guys have
actually a card
not
that may
gotten
need a
in with such
preemptive
high
nerf.
votes before.
I would
Princess
upvote one if you
Sorbet is a
posted one,
5-drop
yeah.
neutral 2/2 sweet human from Sucrose with summon, create a vanilla scoopling. If your hand has no cards with an affinity, create another one. This has 3 contributors to it. I think that's really interesting, and it seems to do basically turn the high good stats versus cost vanilla scoopling into a neutral matters thing. As a big fan of neutral, I like that. I can understand why a lot of people, Puwapka as the big person, would totally dump on this idea. Very curious way to go about it. My first thoughts with this, of course, based around my sort of play pattern is, sure, I guess if we really want to do more neutral stuff in Black Rift, which seems to be the direction it's going, then you can get 2 really good beat sticks with it. But stuff like egolessness and that other stuff, so maybe in Legacy this could see a lot of fun. I would love to have Grief here to talk about this card. But as is, I don't know.
I'm just gonna tell you straight up, if you're playing a 5-mana do nothing in Legacy, you're losing Legacy. Just keep in mind we have combos that win the game on turn 4. Okay. Just
Legacy is a much stronger format.
So you're saying even in Legacy, with this being 10 mana and stats on turn 5, it's still not worth it?
no.
Okay.
No, this loses you the game in Legacy probably if you play it on turn 5. Actually, is the funny thing. Because you just spent all of your mana to do nothing because because in collective units suck and they don't have innate agile ambush, so they just do nothing. They just sit there for a turn, and in the meanwhile, your opponent probably just killed you because it's turn 5.
So,
Just cost
Wujek, what
0,
you're saying is
just
this
get
doesn't
the
have a
card
home in
dead.
Legacy currently. Do you think it has a home anywhere else?
If we reprint Memory Drain? Question mark? Nah, honestly though, I think legitimately the play pattern for this card is actually in some deck that doesn't actually go all neutral, but instead just says, what if I just yeeted my entire hand and this is the
Well,
only card I have?
You can proc this with a single card because Void Storage, the token from Void Storage is a neutral.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true.
So you just put everything in your hand into Void Storage and then
But
you
you're
can
running
actually
void
proc this.
storage.
Yeah, but yeah, the problem you're running Void Storage that.
Well, yeah, but you are getting
10 stats
A
on
lot of
turn
stats.
5, and then you have to unplug, your void storage, and then how much is
The
it
issue
to
is
get
like,
like,
yeah,
Hard-
so
mana,
you're paying 7 mana
total,
for 10 stats.
which
is not
why not
good.
just pay 7 mana for 10 stats at that point?
Yeah.
I mean, it's across 2 turns, which is better than paying it all at once, but it's not better enough. I don't think that would be viable.
Yeah.
I
So
think this is a Spectre card actually.
perhaps I could buy maybe
I
that.
think this is a card that you put in like a spirit self-discard deck that has some like summon retriggering shenanigans in it, maybe?
I don't know. The thing is, like, I'm thinking about playing this in that sort of deck, and I'm like, why am I not just running Vexing Voidborn instead?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is really clunky. It's very, very clunky.
So yeah, long story short, I think this is not the neutral support we need right now. I think seeing maybe if we saw more, the only things I could care about these tokens are is they're good on stats, but that condition is so hard. Like I need non-native support, or I need neutral support that just isn't, the neutral support isn't in the game. The non-native support's maybe a little bit closer, but even as the guy behind the realm is doing a lot of that, I still think we're a long way off. Does anyone have anything else left to say?
Yeah, fun
It's a
fact,
bit
actually.
strange that this is in like Zucrose when it's sort of a nombo with the realm because all the candies have an affinity.
Yeah.
Fun
Or
fact,
do
actually,
that.
by the way, in Legacy, this card would legitimately be stronger if it had an affinity.
Do the candies have an affinity? I know they're differently colored. I don't know
They
if
have
actually
different
this.
affinities, I think.
No,
Because,
the
like,
No, they're
candies are
neutral.
neutral.
Oh, they're neutral. Okay.
They're just cut. I understand why I made that mistake. They're colored like the different affinities, but they're all
Yeah.
neutral. So it does synergize with sucrose.
But yeah,
Oh,
I
okay,
think
so
they're
this
just
makes
trying to
sense. You're
absorb
trying
the
to make
vanilla
like a
scooplings and the old vanilla stuff, which I think is a bad idea. It's a very bad idea.
I mean, vanilla scoopling is terrible.
yeah, honestly, I feel like if this was Mind, Strength, or Spirit, this would legitimately be better in Legacy than it is right now. Because then you could run it in Penumbra. That's the only reason.
Yeah.
Because if you're running a neutral only deck in Legacy, you're not. Oh wait! Oh, I'm so foolish! Of course, that's the meme. It's Fusion Project support.
Oh no.
No, legit. No, legit though it is because all of your cards in Fusion Project are neutral.
Yeah.
But it's 5 cost.
Yeah,
It's gonna
that's
be
the
an
only
8
problem.
cost.
I mean, in standard Fusion Project, not in Legacy, but in standard, sure. It's yep. That's. Turns out that if you don't know what a card does, it's probably Fusion Project support.
Okay. Megaflora Stomper is a 15-drop neutral 9/9 giant plant dinosaur elemental from Unguia with this costs 1 less for each point of HP you have over 25. Wujek, didn't you submit this before?
Yes.
Okay. Tell me about this process and why you're resubbing it.
Basically, I was just sitting there and was like, I want to post cards, but I didn't want to make cards. So then I just went back through like my saved cards and I picked out like 6 cards that I was like, oh, this is pretty fun. And I just basically threw them at the wall to see what sticks.
Originally, it was to use the Dia art, right?
This particular card was always meant to be like for plants as a deck because plants have this quirky little thing where they gain a lot of health but then don't do anything with it. They don't benefit from having a lot of health. They benefit
Oh, it's
from gaining
over.
health,
I
but
misread it. Okay, now I get it.
Oh yeah, the one that's like under, that's a card that's already in the game.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, this is a payoff for getting a boatload of life, and then you just drop 9/9s for 0 mana.
That's cool. That's cute.
That's what the card does.
Empty, what do you think of this?
I think like there's just going to be too many matchups where this is sort of useless.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's very difficult against any aggro or mid-range deck to get your life total up high enough to even play this. And you really don't want to be running a lot of dead cards in that case.
Yeah. I kind of feel the same way about it. Magneter, what do you
Fair
think?
enough.
So I think that this could be cool, even if just only for control mirrors, which often end in just the players getting absurd amounts of maybe not absurd, but really high amounts of HP, and also maybe actually an alternative to just mill, possibly.
You know, this might be a
Perhaps.
controversial opinion, but I have an idea real quick. I want to get out there. What if this reduced its cost and increased its attack? So it was like a mini Jotun type thing, not full Jotun.
What?
Like this costs 1 less and has +1 attack for each HP you have over 25.
I'm gonna say no. And that's purely for a personal reason of if you look at every giant in standard right now, they're all 9/9s and they're always 9/9s.
The dork who just has to keep his like cycles and numeric patterns going, and
I
that's
mean,
how you get stuff like Number Station. Do you think Number Station was a good card?
I mean, hey, All
You know,
three
number
Stompers
station has
so
a
far are
sequence
good
on it, right?
cards.
There's a 1 in the text box, a 2, a 3, and a 4.
Yes, I know.
And I worked so hard to make that pattern work. That's how you get number station, man. You gotta think outside the box that you create for yourself.
Nah, honestly, if I was to actually make this like stronger in effect, what I would actually do is this costs 1 less for each time you've gained HP this game.
Perhaps.
This is the change that I would make to it. I don't think scaling the attack is choice. Like that still has the same problem of being a dead card in a lot of matchups.
But in the stall matchup, I think it would work better. Magneto, what do you think?
I mean, like I said before, I guess an alternative option for control and something to break control mirror. Also, if you think about it hard enough, this is actually Fusion Project support.
You know, you almost had me there, but no.
It reduces its cost. Of course, it's mana cheat. Of course, it's Fusion Project support.
That's not how it works, sir. I'm sorry.
Share it is. Share it is.
Mr. Extinction, like the 20th iteration and the 5th one that's shown
Yep.
up on the show, is a 6-drop strength 7/4 toon wrestler from Karachar with overrun, agile, and summon destroy an ally to deal damage equal to its attack. I think, and I gotta remember like 5 different versions of this card, folks. I think we've gone over a version similar to this before, and I liked it. Why isn't this getting in? Empty, I'll let you start.
I don't know why it isn't getting in, because this is the only version of Mr. Extinction I've seen where like everything makes sense and I understand why the card was designed this way.
Yeah.
Like all the pieces have finally come together. It's simple and it's effective and it works.
I'll vote Mr. Extinction, guys. Magneto, what do you think of this?
Honestly, I don't like the card because I'm always really scared of effects which instantly deal damage, which scales with stats on units. Because I feel like it's very dangerous. That's also why I didn't like War Drum when that got in. Because I think it's in
What's
something
War-
like Rage, you can get pretty high stats on your units. Sure, the problem is that you often can't really use those stats for anything, because that's why I, for example, made the Rage card which gives Overrun, because usually Rage would often end up with just having high stats and just that's it. Your units get blocked and they do nothing. But the thing is, I don't like that you can use this high 80k just on damage on someone to just burn.
Magneto,
Like, I
I don't
think
have
it's-
time to
I think it's
unpack all the
dangerous and-
ways your opinion is objectively wrong. Let me start with this one. In MTG, there's a card that does this summon effect and costs 2. It is not run to save its life. Okay?
All right, but like the
It's not as bad as you're thinking it is at
I
all.
will say though, comparing to other games here is pretty not correct. I mean,
But
my-
you're talking
okay.
about 2 versus 6
wait,
on
but
a
wait,
body that doesn't.
they
It's
have, like-
not really why you're
understand.
using the card.
oh, I understand.
but
That
they
doesn't,
have a lot of
change the-
scaling
that
and
doesn't
stuff
change the
there.
fact that MTG has like a completely different power level, and there are several hundreds of cards in MTG that if they were ported over to collective, they would absolutely break the game wide open. I don't think Fling is one of them though. I
Yeah,
will say that.
Fling is not one of them. It's definitely not.
Well, 2 mana Fling, maybe. 2 mana Fling would be very strong.
Yeah, 3 or 4 mana Fling is
6
fine.
mana
6 mana Fling with a body, sure, have it.
Yeah, 6 mana Fling is fine, probably.
Yeah, but the reason Rage and like the decks that build up these giant units need these effects is otherwise those units sit around there doing nothing, or
Yeah.
they
You
get
can-
dueled
you
away
can
by
give them
the deadly
overrun.
Daylings.
You can
Well,
give
this
them
is just
overrun.
another way of giving them overrun. You just overrun.
But it's
Yeah.
but it's less interactive overrun.
It
Oh.
is. It.
They still need
You're
it to get to
losing-
the point Like
A
they built
high
up the
attack
unit.
unit, you deserve a little bit of reach.
Like your opponent
Yeah.
still always has the opportunity to answer the unit that you just played.
Yeah.
Unless it has like fast, which nobody's gonna combo a fast unit with Mixer
I got a
Extinction. It's not
fast
You
happening.
15 attack
underestimate
unit, and I'm gonna fling it
You
at
underestimate me.
Like keep in mind,
Go,
this
you
is-
know,
because
run
this
that
costs
thing.
6,
lift the
because
train.
this costs 6, and because of how collective works, your opponent will pretty much always have like one turn to react to the massive unit that you just played.
Yeah.
Unless this specific situation happens, and that is they play their card, you play a unit that can literally kill them when flung at them in a single swoop. Pass turn, you now have initiative, play Mr. Extinction, and honestly,
All right.
You deserve.
no,
to win
that's
at
on
that
them.
point.
That's on them.
Consider-
Yeah.
That was a bad play.
Consider this scenario. You have a bunch of units on board. It's turn 9, and you play Vengeful Warrior. All right. You do something in that turn. You hope your opponent
Magnator, you
opponent
lost
does
me
not
at you
dis-
play Vengeful Warrior. I'm sorry.
your
You lost
opponent does
me
not
at you got to turn 9.
your opponent does not remove Vengeful Warrior on the turn 9. On turn 10, they play their incredible finisher for their spider deck, Rafa, for 10 mana. Then you play Flambeau Spill, and then you play Mr. Extinction on the giant Vengeful Warrior. And then you win the
Magnator, I
game.
have a question, right?
This is
I-
like a fictional scenario.
Wouldn't
I
it
mean,
be
I'm,
legit?
I'm
Magnator,
exact-
at that point in the game, wouldn't I just win by playing 2 overflowing thoughts?
Okay, we're gonna move on, folks. We ain't got time for this.
the question is it Fusion Project support?
It's not.
Ryky, the Inkwing, is a 5-drop neutral 4/4 dragon from nowhere in particular with flying and horde, create a coin. So for 5 mana, regardless of what hero you were before, you are Perlmon now. This is interesting and cute, and I don't really know why it's neutral, and I'm not really sure why it's a card. It's beautiful, and I kind of like it, and I kind of want to know what to run with it, but it's confusing to me. Can someone tell me what was going through Chris's head when he thought of this? Starting with you, Magnator.
I don't know. Honestly, I think this would be strong, maybe too strong. I don't know.
Well, because it's like Money Machine that can fight, but it's on T5.
I guess. I mean, yeah. I guess it's Man Machine. Maybe it's just that when I look at Horde, I instantly think of the Plasma Dragons and how strong they were. And it
Well,
does sort
listen,
of
there's a big
instantly.
difference between making a coin and like wiping
Yeah,
the board.
Yeah, definitely. But just that the moment I sort of see Horde, it instantly reminds me of the pretty overpowered plasma cards, and it just makes it harder for me to think about how good it actually is. But yeah, I guess it's just Money Machine. It just, yeah.
Wujek, what do you think of this?
So remember how I said that Gokun has this pattern of making cards where I like some things about them, but then they're just like atrocious balance wise or something.
So what's your thing for this card?
I love this card. It's so cute. I want to have this dragon as a pet. It's adorable. It's just so lovable. I love it. But it's so bad. Like, buddy, when you were making this dragon, like you didn't have to like throw it out the window at birth. Like that's not what you do with a child. It's just like cut mana by 1 is probably fine as a 4 mana for flyer with this effect. Let's be honest.
I think it hitting at 5 is maybe too much. I think hitting at 4 is maybe like, why do I even want it at 4? It does fly, and it has a decent
I mean,
stat
it's a
line.
4 mana 4 for flyer that makes you a coin if you're promo. It's like 4 mana 4 for my machine.
Utility wise, though, do you think it would maybe be like good at 3 with stats to adjust?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I actually think that there's a lot of stat lines at which this works. This is not one of them.
Okay,
Like
so
3
just
mana
numbers
3/3,
adjustment.
2 mana 2/2, 4 mana 4/4. Okay, 2 mana 2/2 actually I think would be really strong, maybe busted even.
Yeah, two. I'm not saying two.
Like
I'm
3 mana
saying
3/3, 4 mana
Man, you
4/4.
could run 6 copies of Money Machine then, basically.
this could come down on 3 or 4, and I'm saying though that inclusive. Anything outside that range, any lower is problematic. 5 or higher is pretty much useless.
Yep.
If this could come down on 3 or 4, I would love it. Empty, what do you think?
I mean, there's not much else to say about it. It's a pretty simple card. It's just bad.
So yeah, actually, PSA to Roken. Please, lab your cards. Because so many times you make such interesting concept, but just hit the balance wrong in so many ways.
Yeah, I mean, he's got great ideas and he's got gorgeous art, and his new style that he
Like-
picked up after his hiatus was astounding.
Like I love Ryky.
Yeah.
I like the Huron guy. I like what it was like the one other card that was today. Moonshadow, that card was like way back then, the 3 mana 1/1 that like stole a card. That had gorgeous art. I loved it. But then it was just unplayable. Like there are so many cool concepts that you have, but then you just miss the balance. It's
Yeah.
sad. It actually sucks. Because so many of these cards could be in the game and they could be really fun. But
Yeah.
then they just don't.
I don't know if he watches the show. We will see.
We'll see. I
If you
guess.
watch the show, post in the comments. We're now talking to one audience. Okay, last card for the week, folks. We're running over. The Existential Threat is a 5-drop mind action from Elusive Jetica. Create afflictions in your opponent's hand equal to their remaining mana. The affliction is a 1-drop neutral fast card with mill 1. And before combat, while in hand, you take 2 damage and discard this. So, this is an interesting thing. You are turn 5 or later, you play this, and it's a very complicated mind game gamble. Every mana they either have to spend it on the affliction and mill 1, so they lose either 1 mana and 1 card, or they take 2 damage. I think this is fascinating. It is very, very weird, and I really, really enjoy this card. It's also complicated, hard to unpack, and hard to evaluate what this does to a lot of board states. I know who's really going to love this card, and I'm going to let him talk first. Empty Folder, what do you think of this?
I mean, I really like the idea. I just think this iteration is very weak. Giving your opponent a choice is usually like a really bad thing in card games. And this is basically like a whole bunch of little choices that your opponent has with their mana. So it's basically like you pay 5 mana, and for every mana your opponent spends this turn, they take 2 damage. That's just not that great for 5 mana, because you have to have like a board or something to punish your opponent for missing all that mana. And then like you're just not going to get that much damage most of the time. And when your opponent is playing the afflictions, like the mill 1 on them is basically inconsequential because you're not playing this in a control deck, because like the damage isn't going to matter. I don't know.
Do you think scaling up the mill side would do it?
I think the mill is completely inconsequential, like at almost any value, unless it's so high that this can mill them out on its own. Because you're not running this in mill.
To do it.
You're not running this in mill though.
Honestly, don't think mill should even be the main focus of this card. I think that.
Well, yeah, but
No.
it just
I think
needs
it could be
something else
removed
on
and
that
nothing would
affliction to
change.
punish you for playing it.
I mean,
And I don't know what that thing would
there's
be
basically
except-
no punishment. The
Yeah.
punishment is you're losing mana.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's like the main point of the card, in my opinion, is that like you play this and your opponent basically has a choice.
Mhm.
They either spend their mana on afflictions or they spend mana to deal with your board. if they deal with your board, then like they take a boatload of damage from the afflictions. This is
Yeah.
a situationally good card, but I just really love the play patterns it enables. It's just so cool. I love it.
It could be really cool, but I do agree with you guys that the dilemma, it's at least.
Oh, so if your opponent has a big enough hand, a lot of the afflictions will just end up in the graveyard.
That's the other problem.
Yeah, that's also it might be kind of a balancing factor in a way. Because otherwise, like playing this for 5 mana, like higher when the opponent's like higher manas could be a bit much. Because like
But there are
this
some
can-
decks where if this comes down on 5, then it's doing nothing. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, you
that's-
always have enough mana to play them. I guess you could run it with some sort of action increase effect, so your opponent can't play them all.
This is an elusive crowd frog support. Bog.
yeah, if you can bump the cost of actions, this becomes great. Come to think of it, I like that. I like that idea a lot. You still have to make sure their hand's empty enough, but
Yeah.
This is fun. This is
so
such a
yeah,
fun card.
if you could just increase the cost of actions or tokens by 1, then at the very least on 5, they're taking 6 damage off this thing, which I think about breaks even. And then anything better than that is just icing. Yeah, that's cute. Or wait, they're taking, okay, so they have to spend, they'll be able to get rid of 2 afflictions. They won't be able to get rid of the 3rd.
Mhm.
And they'll have 5 afflictions, so they'll take 6 for 5 mana.
And they're spending all their mana.
And yeah, and that's if they burn their turn out. They're taking 10 otherwise.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty decent.
Yeah, so I like that synergy. That could be really fun.
It's a
Magneto,
really
what do you
cool
think of
card.
this? You haven't said anything so far.
Well, I don't know. I'm not sure if I have much more to say. I do think it's sort of weird that it's mill 1 as the effect for if you don't actually play it. Because yeah, I mean, I don't know. If a lot of the time it might even be a good thing for the player, for your opponent, to actually mill 1. It could be interesting, maybe if it didn't actually have fast. You could maybe play what's it called? Mind Split.
Yeah.
The card
No.
which forbids the card which makes it so players can play units or actions this turn to actually completely stop your opponent from playing them.
I think that's I think cost increase is the way to go with this. The particularly punishing thing to do with this, by the way, is to change mill 1 to shuffle this into your deck. If you wanted to make a really evil version of
Oh,
this
God.
And then like
That might
That
be
is
too
evil.
evil.
and
That
then
is
like
evil.
when draw a card.
No,
guess.
just shuffle this into your deck.
That I don't think this one. Nah, I think that's just too evil. I think the card's like fine as this, honestly. Also, Magna, I'm gonna say, fast kind of needs to be there.
It
Just
does.
because without fast, this is so clunky.
Yeah,
It's
it
just
makes
bad
it
for the
really
UI.
slow.
It's bad for
clunky. I don't mean
everything.
clunky gameplay wise. I mean clunky and like actually. Imagine playing this on turn 5. You spend all of your mana. Your opponent wants to play all of the afflictions. Congrats! You have to pass priority like 5 times there. That's so that's awkward.
I guess.
So yeah,
I mean,
this design's gorgeous.
Man,
I don't
it's
really
preferred
have
to
any
fast. It's a
criticisms
quality of
of it.
life thing.
I think it's about balance. I think this is good. There's enough cool synergies with it. I would be really excited to see this in the game. The art of the ice cube is really interesting. I don't know what to say about it.
Yeah, that art was kind of the joke actually.
Ice Cube of Doom.
Yeah, Sporium just saw like that. You actually talked to him about this card in the voice chat yesterday, and Sporium was like, "Oh yeah," basically just saw this art of an ice cube, and I was like, what if I made this an existential threat? And honestly, that's pretty based.
Okay, so I'm gonna quit the share. This was a fun week. It's so great to be back in the saddle. I miss Grief a little bit. I hope you guys had fun too. Thank you very much, Empty Folder, for joining me.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Thanks, Magneter. Great having you on.
thanks for actually having me as well.
And Wujek, your input's always valued here. You're,
Like,
every
I'm a
5
bit-
weeks we just got to keep putting you back. You're our de facto third soft panelist.
I'm a bit out of touch with collective, to be fair, nowadays. So like my input is.
Most people are.
We'll get back into it, guys. The game's
I still
alive.
play
We
it.
have a new manager.
Yeah.
It'll happen. Just give
I
it
still
time.
play. I
I'm
still play the
trying
game.
to get back into the swing of things. I will say that.
Yeah,
Since-
I'm guilty too. I need to work on it. So anyways, like, comment, and subscribe. Remind me why I'm doing this. Keep on playing collective. Keep on voting on cards. Bye.